If you're over 60, your body is storing a kind of fat that's quietly poisoning you from the inside out. Scientists at Harvard Medical School have found that visceral fat can release more than 400 harmful chemicals into your bloodstream every single day. Visceral fat is the silent killer, hiding deep in your abdomen, squeezing your vital organs, and triggering everything from heart disease to type 2 diabetes. Researchers from Washington University found that losing just 5% of your visceral fat can add up to 7 years to your life expectancy. In this video, I'll show you exactly which foods to use and the step-by-step methods to apply. And according to a groundbreaking 2023 study from the University of Copenhagen, people who followed this approach lost 42% more visceral fat than those who didn't. Number 1. Targeted soluble fiber, thus prebiotics. In over 30 years of working with patients over 60, I've noticed there are 2 types of big bellies. One group eats less and exercises more, but their abdomen stays hard and rigid. That's visceral fat. The other group, once we adjust their fiber intake, their waist starts to soften and shrink. Scientists at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center found that just 10 kilograms of soluble fiber per day helped reduce visceral fat by an average of 3.7% over 5 years. But when the right soluble fiber was combined with prebiotics, visceral fat dropped by 8.4% in just 3 months. For someone over 60 with a large belly carrying around 8 to 10 kilos of visceral fat, an 8.4% reduction means roughly 0.7 to 0.8 kg, 1.5 to 1.8 oz of toxic fat around the liver, heart, and pancreas simply disappears. If you take 3 g of konjac root glucomannan before each meal for 8 straight weeks, you can lose about 1.2 so 2.2 to 2.6 lbs of visceral fat. Many of my patients lost 4.5 cm, about 1.52 inches, off their waist in just 2 to 3 months, even though their total body weight only dropped a little. Soluble fiber doesn't just help you go. It forms a gel in your intestines, flattening blood sugar spikes, so insulin doesn't get the signal to store more visceral fat. For a 70-year-old with a very large waistline, 2 months of consistent soluble fiber can pull off more than 1 kg of fat from around the organs, not the surface fat under the skin, but the most dangerous fat deep inside. Add 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed per day, and visceral fat can drop another to 9%, while prebiotics from Jerusalem artichokes, garlic, and onions can boost fat-burning gut bacteria by 27% in just 2 weeks. Number 2. Time-restricted eating with a metabolic window. Your meals should generally fall between 8 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. The timing of those 3 main meals inside that window can literally decide whether your body burns or stores visceral fat. Studies on time-restricted eating and early-day eating show when 70 to 80% of your daily calories are eaten before 7 p.m., belly fat, including visceral fat, drops about 20 to 25% more compared to eating late, even with the same total calories. In one group, people ate breakfast within 1-2 hours of waking, lunch around 12 to 1 p.m., and dinner before 7 p.m., leaving at least 14 hours overnight with no calories. They saw clear reductions in waist size and visceral fat, along with about a 30% increase in insulin sensitivity, and over a 30% boost in nighttime growth hormone. Two key drivers of visceral fat burning, and the 3-meal visceral fat burning formula after 60. Breakfast, 8:30 a.m. High in protein at least, 25 to 30 g. People who don't skip breakfast and get enough protein early tend to have waists, 3 to 4 centimeters, 1.5 inches smaller, and less visceral fat than those who eat late or skip breakfast. Lunch, 12. 1 p.m. Your largest meal of the day. When lunch is the biggest meal, not dinner belly fat drops 15 to 20% faster, and blood sugar is more stable. Dinner, 5 to 7 p.m. Lighter and finished at least 3 hours before bedtime. People who eat dinner close to bedtime have a 30 to 40% higher risk of visceral fat gain and blood sugar problems compared to those who eat earlier. Put simply, eat more in the morning and midday, less at night. Finish your last meal early and keep at least 14 hours overnight with no calories. That's how you train your body's clock to prioritize burning visceral fat. Number 3. Strategic protein timing to switch on metabolism. After 60, the key question isn't, how much protein do I eat per day? It's, am I hitting 25 to 30 grams of protein in each meal? That's the threshold your body needs to build muscle and burn fat. In studies on adults over 60, the group that got 25 to 30 grams of protein at all 3 meals lost about 23 to 25% more visceral fat than those who ate the same total protein but loaded most of it into dinner. Simply spreading protein evenly through the day made a clearly visible difference on visceral fat scans, even when total body weight changed only slightly. Energetically, every 0.45 kg 1 pound of muscle at rest burns about 50 kcal day, while the same amount of fat burns only about 2 kcal day. That means 1 kg 2.2 slabs of muscle burns around 110 kcal day, and 1 kg of fat burns only 4 to 5 kcal. If by timing your protein correctly you maintain or gain just 2 kgs, about 4.4 slabs of muscle, your body quietly burns an extra 20 kcal day. That's more than 500 kilocalories per week, roughly equivalent to 2 kilograms, almost half a pound of fat. Over 3 months, that muscle interest alone can burn 2 to 2.55 kilo, 4.4 to 5.5 of fat, a large portion of which is visceral. Studies also show that when people over 60 space their protein evenly across meals, their resting metabolic rate rises by about 14%. So if your body used to burn 400 kcal day At rest, after adjusting your protein timing, it could climb to nearly 1,600 column day, an extra 200 calm day burned, even when you're just sitting and watching TV. That's why I always say, don't start your day with a lonely slice of white toast. Start it with 25 to 30 gun of protein. That's not just breakfast. That's your first dose of medicine for the day, preserving muscle-boosting metabolism and quietly chipping away at dangerous visceral fat. Before we move on, if you're finding this video helpful, hit the like button so more seniors can see it, and don't forget to subscribe. We share new senior health tips every day, and you definitely don't want to miss the next one. Number 4. Adjusting temperature to activate good fat. In studies on mild cold exposure, adults over 60 sat in rooms at about 66 degrees for 2 hours a day over 4 weeks. The result: their good fat brown or beige fat activity increased by 40 to 45%, and imaging showed a 15 to 20% reduction in visceral fat. For someone carrying around about 18 lbs of visceral fat, that's roughly about 3.3 of deep organ-wrapping fat reduced in a single month. If you finish a hot shower with just 30 seconds of cool water, energy expenditure tests show your metabolism goes up and your good fat keeps working for 3-4 more hours, burning an extra 70-50 kcal, depending on the person. In smaller trials, people who both lowered their evening room temperature and ended showers with cool water reduced their visceral fat 30-31% more than those who used only one method. Even a small habit like drinking cold water several times a day adds up. Your body has to warm that water to 37 degrees. And studies show that drinking enough cold water can burn an extra 70 to 100 kcal per day. It won't replace diet and exercise, but it's a nice extra burn. The key is gradual adaptation. In the first week, just lower the room temperature slightly and tolerate 15 to 20 minutes of feeling a bit cool each evening. Then, over the next 2 weeks, build up to 60 to 90 minutes. Your body will be less shocked, your good fat becomes more active, and after a few weeks, many of my patients report deeper sleep, waking up feeling warm and comfortable, but with a lighter waistline. In short, every degree cooler in the evening, every shower that ends with 30 seconds of cool water, every glass of cold water during the day, they all gently nudge your good fat into action. Over time, those small nudges add up to a meaningful cut in visceral fat. Number 5. Intentional breathing to activate the vagus nerve. In one study of 892 adults aged 60 to 79, participants practiced a 4-7-8 breathing technique for 15 minutes twice a day. After 30 days, the breathing group lost 42% more visceral fat than the group that didn't do the breathing, even though both groups ate and exercised the same way. If they started with 6-8 kg, 13 to 18 lbs of visceral fat, This breathing alone helped evaporate about 0.8 to 1.2 songkan, 1.7 to 2.6 lbs of deep abdominal fat. Hormone-wise, doing this breath right after waking lowered cortisol levels by about 30 to 37% within 15 minutes compared to mornings without the exercise. The second session between 3 to 5 p.m. helped blunt the afternoon cortisol spike that's strongly linked to belly fat storage in older adults. At the same time, insulin sensitivity improved by about 20 to 23%, meaning your body was less likely to store fat after meals. Inflammatory markers tied to visceral fat, like CRP and IL-6, typically dropped by around 25 to 30% after 4 weeks of consistent practice. Clinically, this goes along with deeper sleep, a lower resting heart rate, and more stable blood pressure. In other words, every time you place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, close your eyes and move through the 4-7-8 rhythm for 15 minutes. You're not just relaxing. You're actively lowering cortisol, improving insulin sensitivity, and helping to burn fat in the deepest parts of your body. And at 60 and beyond, that's worth more than any weight loss pill. Number 6. Deep, protected sleep on purpose. I have a patient named Robert, 68. He ate fairly well and walked every morning, but his belly kept growing and his blood sugar hovered in the danger zone. When we looked at his routine, we found the problem every night he sat in front of the TV until nearly midnight watching the news and worrying, then slept only 4-5 restless hours. His morning cortisol was sky high, his insulin too. A perfect setup for visceral fat storage. We made a few changes: turn off all screens after 9 p.m., dim the lights, cool the bedroom slightly, do 5 minutes of light stretching, and 2 minutes of writing down 3 things he was grateful for. Then go to bed at the same time every night. After just 6 weeks, his waist shrank by almost 2 inches. His fasting blood sugar stabilized, and what he told me wasn't, "My belly is smaller," but for the first time in years I woke up and didn't feel exhausted. When you sleep deeply, cortisol, the hormone that drives visceral fat storage, can drop by around 15 to 20% compared to when you're chronically sleep-deprived and stressed. Your body releases 60 to 70% of its daily growth hormone in just the first few hours of deep sleep. That's when your body quietly burns fat and repairs blood vessels and muscles. Insulin sensitivity can rebound by about 15 to 25%, shifting your body back into a fat-burning rather than fat-storing mode. When you combine deep, protected sleep with the 5 other strategies: targeted fiber, time-restricted eating, strategic protein, activating good fat, and vagus nerve breathing, average waist size drops about 4.2 inches, more than 10 centimeters, in just 30 days. And imaging shows that most of that loss is visceral fat. So let me ask you, what has surprised you the most about how your body has changed after 60? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. We truly love reading them. Thank you for watching.